No. No. Stop. That's so much. That's... We don't have to do that. It's just a movie. We've already done that. It's okay. We can.
This is for the election.
La 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 la. Here we go.
It's the Bible reloaded, logic explosion, like Jesus and Moses, but it's Hugo and Jake. The Bible is jaded, and most of it taken, so get educated with Hugo and Jake. Pull up a pew and stop what you're doing, it's Bible reloaded time. They call it debated, the theorists will hate it, like talking and taken, but it's Hugo and Jake. So I'm with the show then, it's not candy coated, it's the Bible reloaded, with Hugo and Jake, with Hugo and Jake.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this is the Bible Reloaded, back to finally bring you the conclusion to our Ray Comfort, the Atheist Delusion review. Sorry it took so long, the election happened and then I got busy. It's a whole thing, but here we are to finally bring you a conclusion to what is, I was gonna say one of Ray's worst movies, but they're all pretty much on the same level. So
It's not like a mystery miniseries. We know the conclusion already.
Yeah.
It's not like, are any of you actually mystified by what's about to happen?
Yeah, and in your honor, Ray, I'm wearing my Power Rangers hat, because that is shot in New Zealand, where you are from, and it is also banned there. It's that's just a fun fact for you. It's the funnest fact you're going to learn today, so...
And if you haven't watched part 1, click that right there, or in the description there's the link to part 1, because we need your views. We need it. It's validation.
They sustain us. Anyway, here's part 2. So you remember from part 1, Ray laid out what he thought were rock-solid arguments for the existence of the Christian God. He goes on to now ask all the dumb college students if they're still atheists after what he just told them.
Are you no longer an atheist?
I would still go on as an atheist.
Of course they're still atheists, Ray. Have you seen this kid? His shirt probably says, "Debate me."
Ray's, of course, setting up the idea that even though he gave them evidence, they refused to change their positions. Remember, at the beginning he asked them if they were open to evidence, and now he's coming back to that point. This is a perfect example of how much of a genius Ray is at leading a conversation. He knew exactly where the discussion was going from the moment he started talking to each of these people. He has a script in his head ready to take the conversation down any path he wants and form a narrative. Here's the problem, though, Ray. They didn't not change their mind because they're stubborn, but because you have terrible arguments. Now, they might not be able to in the moment articulate why they're terrible, but they see right through them nonetheless. Then Ray goes on to this classic argument.
You know in your heart God exists. I know you know for many reasons. One was, I'm like you. I was running from God too. And 2, the Bible says, God has given light to every man.
This is presuppositionalism in its simplest form. Basically, some Christians like Ray argue that everyone in the world, including atheists, know for a fact that God exists but choose to deny it so they can sin without recourse. Ray likens this to having a smoke detector without batteries, so when a fire comes you have no warning. But the problem with this metaphor is that no one who knows fire exists believe having a malfunctioning fire detector will protect them when a fire happens. It's more like you're trying to sell me a boogeyman detector, and when I tell you I don't believe in the boogeyman, you claim it's just because I'm so afraid of the boogeyman, I don't want to be warned when he's coming. It makes no sense, Ray, and frankly, it's a terrible deflection tactic. So, I know you've heard this a million times, but make it 1,000,001. No, I don't know God exists anywhere in my mind. I don't believe God exists, genuinely and without hesitation. This isn't due to a desire to sin or shed culpability for my actions. It's because I have never seen evidence that compelled me to believe, okay? Now, the next time you use this argument, I want you to feel ashamed and remember you only do this for the money. Okay, Ray?
Just as a physical book, by logic and reason, has a maker, so the instruction book, containing infinite wisdom and intelligence and instructions beyond any human comprehension, is evidence of the existence of an intelligent designer.
Watchmaker argument, or bookmaker, whatever. Go watch part 1.
The last thing you want as God in your life because you love your porn, you love your premarital sex, your fornication.
Ray picked this guy to shame for fornication because he knows all the ladies are lining up to go on that mustache ride. It's okay to be super jelly, Ray. I still love your kiwi mustache.
His mustache is cute because it has an accent.
The argument for intelligent design isn't to convince people of the Christian message, it's just to show them the insanity of atheism.
Ray, you do realize that people are generally atheists because of an evidentiary conflict between what people like you believe and what is actually true, right? So explaining intelligent design doesn't accomplish what you think it does. It's pseudo-solutions. It's pulp. There's no real substance to it. So when you say there must be a designer, we don't go, ah, yeah, you're right. We say, yeah, but why though?
Isaac Newton said, atheism is so senseless. It's the father of science.
Isaac Newton also considered viewing Christ as God to be idolatry. So...
Isaac Newton also thought you could turn lead into gold via alchemy, so maybe the really smart guy in the wrong place could have some silly beliefs. Maybe?
Think of your taste buds, how incredible they are. Sitting there waiting for food to come and they all rejoice and leap for joy when there's good food and gives you pleasure. And think of what you're able to look on the flowers and the birds and hear the birds in the morning and see the trees raising their arms in praise to God.
I feel like a passenger on a flight that's just been hijacked by Ray Comfort, and he plans on smashing the plane 9/11 style into a building called Fine-Tuning and Pretty Things. Couldn't you have aimed for Trump Tower or something, dude? Try being helpful.
Oh my god, he's gonna keep repeating his same arguments from Beauty and Design for the next 30 minutes, isn't he?
Yep.
This is very clear evidence. It's like there's nothing to think about. It's either nothing made everything, or something made everything.
Okay, Ray, I think you're wrong, but let's entertain what you're saying just for a second. Let's say something made everything, and let's say that something is the Christian God. Did God come from nothing? If not, how did such a complex being come from nothing? Certainly, a being capable of creating the universe must themselves be infinitely more complex than the universe, so if you claim it's unlikely the universe came from nothing, it's infinitely more unlikely God came from nothing. This is the part where Ray would claim God has always been and therefore didn't have to be created. That's a semantic argument, and a MacGuffin to boot. The act of existing and creation in this case are basically interchangeable. You should know this, Ray, since you do this in your shitty arguments all the time in regard to DNA and trees. Secondly, introducing a deus ex machina to solve your infinite regress doesn't make you a winner, it reveals how bad you are at rhetorical exercises.
Some things made everything, not something in particular, not one specific
That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get away from moral responsibility to God. That's really your argument.
What? No, Ray, he's telling you the cause of things, not his moral responsibility to anything. That's just you getting frustrated at this kid for knowing shit. Finally, one of you college kids I'm not gonna make fun of. Proud of you, Josh.
There has to be an intelligent mind beyond human reasoning to put DNA together. Does that make sense?
I mean, if this was an L. Ron Hubbard book, sure.
Examine your motives. There must be a hidden motive.
Ooh, me first. My guess is they're agreeing to whatever you say so they can get away from the old, creepy New Zealanders shoving an iPhone camera in their face and reciting shitty scripted remarks.
You don't want to say someone who's intelligent because you're into porn, you're into sex with your girlfriend, it gives you so much pleasure and you don't want to give it up, and if God exists, then that's going to put a big wet blanket on everything.
See, you say this, but I've known some Christian girls, and let me tell you a thing about them. They are crazy in bed. I mean, high school was nuts, man. For the popular kids that weren't afraid to talk to girls, I've heard some stories. Saw a titty once.
Because there's incredible pleasure in fornication and pornography. And so what you do is you deny the existence of God because it gives you license to do those things without a feeling of guilt.
Okay, joking aside, here's my real answer. I have never, one time, been fucking and thought to myself, man, it sure is nice not having a God judge me or my performance right now. Never once have I done a drug, taken a drink, made out with a girl, or otherwise had sinful fun, and been thankful that my non-belief has led to my lack of moral policing. Because I didn't become an atheist out of a desire or need. That part is projecting. I became an atheist because you're incorrect. And so is every other religion.
The Bible says that we're tormented by a fear of death, but we're so proud we don't mention it because it makes us seem vulnerable and weak. It's very rare to speak of this in private, let alone in public.
Ray, I'm completely open to a discussion about death with you. I don't want to die. It's an unfortunate thing to be sapient with the knowledge you are one day no longer going to exist. Not many animals are aware of their mortality. We are. The benefit, though, is an ability to have some perspective on your actions and how you're using your time. If I didn't know I was going to die, I might waste all my time on Earth doing pointless, unfulfilling things, like watching your movies, for example.
Yeah, to me, the only option worse than death would be being forced to experience eternity. And if you say, well, you'd be happy literally every moment of every day in heaven, my response to that is then it isn't me. You've changed me into this happiness drone forever. No, thank you. That has much further reaching implications as well, like if you're going to change who I am once I'm in heaven, why did it matter who I was beforehand? If the person I love most is damned to hell for eternity, is it still heaven when I get there? Can I do the things I love in heaven, or are there rules banning me from doing them? If there are, then how can one argue it's a perfectly happy place? If not, then how is it pure? I win, Ray. I win. You lose!
In 2015, world surfing champion Kelly Slater and his team of technicians produced a man-made wave. They too copied nature's design. They called it man-made, but they actually used existing water, existing ground under the water, and pre-existing laws of energy to create the wave.
Again, Ray, using semantic arguments as if they mean anything. Yes, man-made means taking already existing resources and refashioning them into something new. Please, Ray, explain to me in what way that would support your arguments. Nothing? Oh, that's probably because you're not here, but that's, you get the point. Then we get another montage of B-roll footage because argument from beauty, I guess.
They're convinced that all these pleasures came about by pure chance, that it was fortunate that after the Big Bang, the Earth just happened to form and began circling the Sun.
Physics? What the fuck is that?
They believe it was fortunate that the atmosphere formed itself around the planet and that the Sun ended up at just the right distance to support life.
Yeah, you hear this argument a lot, especially on Facebook, which is one of the reasons I no longer take part in Facebook. The other one is when I like porn pages my mom sees. But during a year, the Earth is at its closest at 91 million miles from the Sun, and its farthest at 94.5 million miles. That's 3.5 million miles. It's a lot of miles. It's not perfect. It gets real fucking cold, and also real fucking hot.
I also like that he says the sun ended up at the right distance, as if that's the major concern in physics. Like the Earth was there and then the sun adjusted accordingly instead of vice versa.
Thanks, son.
And even more miraculously, that inanimate matter somehow came to life.
Okay, when you say it like this, it makes it seem like out of rocks sprouted like fucking seahorses and shit. No, Ray, the first living organisms were called archaea, which are prokaryotes, which means they have no nucleus or other organelles bound to the membrane. You'd know this if you were paying attention in 6th grade science class. Remember, these came from the simple lipid bubble proteins we discussed in part 1, which were not living according to our definition. To be considered living, you must be made out of cells, obtain and use energy, grow, reproduce, respond to the environment, and adapt. These factors are why viruses are considered non-living, but both you and I would consider viruses far more complex than those single little bubbles you were talking about earlier.
And then inexplicably, that first simple cell reproduced itself and became increasingly complex to create all the plant, animal, and human life we see.
It's not really inexplicable at all. Somewhere along the line, an organism reproduced asexually via mitosis. All that takes is one mutation, and the Earth had billions of years to happen upon it. You say miracle, I say statistical probability.
Since we're talking about probability, the thing about improbable things is that if enough time passes, they're guaranteed to happen. That's why we call them improbable instead of impossible. Let's take a look at the lottery, for example. The chances of winning the lottery are roughly 1 in 14 million. This is an extremely unlikely event for an individual, but because it is possible, someone usually does win. Now, from their perspective, this is a miraculous event that maybe has some sort of spiritual or supernatural significance to them, but someone was always going to win. Now, let's look at a more pertinent example. We know life can exist because we also know most planets don't have life. There are 100 billion planets in the Milky Way galaxy where we live. Let's be nice to Ray and say, worst case scenario, there are no other planets with life in the entire galaxy. That gives us a 1 in 100 billion chance that life develops as we know it on any given planet. Pretty unlikely, right? It's ridiculous. Except there are an estimated 200 billion galaxies in the known universe. So given a 1 in 100 billion chance of life appearing on the planet that is suitable to sustain it, there would be 200 billion, with a B, planets with life in the universe. Unlikely things happen. That's why they're unlikely, not impossible. For more on this, Google anthropic principle and Fermi paradox. I don't have time to be here all day. I got shit to do. I got an entire thing of fucking vodka in here. I can't,
You did math, though.
Yeah.
You did some math. That was nice. Good job.
Maybe that's what I needed to be better in high school math. Vodka.
They believe it was just happenstance that over 1 million species evolved with both male and female, each with the corresponding reproductive parts.
You know, except all the fucking animals that don't follow the mode of sexual reproduction, but we can ignore the vast majority of all living things and the way they reproduce because it's easier to talk about cats and dogs, Ray.
And that thousands of different types of trees evolved, and not only to furnish us with wood to build houses, but to breathe in our carbon dioxide and breathe out the oxygen essential for our life.
God damn it, man. You think we have trees so we can build houses, and not that we build houses out of wood because we have trees? I feel more confused than that time Hugo looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Take me now, Jake. Take me now." It's like that, but trees, Ray.
What a happy coincidence that cows give us meat, leather, milk, cheese, butter, yogurt, and ice cream.
Again, if we didn't have cows, we'd eat some other shit. Maybe we'd milk our own females. Who the fuck knows in this crazy world, Ray? I'll drink some tip milk. You don't know me.
Atheists also believe that it was by chance that there are thousands of delicious plants, fruits, vegetables, and nuts that are beneficial to the health of humanity.
Ray, of course, ignores that we cannot eat the vast majority of plants, either due to them making us sick or their lack of nutritional value. Like all species, we have developed ways to take advantage of our environments for survival. Ray likes to tout how perfect the Earth is for humans without any regard for the fact that humans can't survive on the vast majority of the surface of the Earth. The fact that humans exist and have found ways to survive isn't evidence of creation. It's proof humans exist and have found ways to survive on a mostly hostile planet in a mostly hostile universe.
Meanwhile, let's ignore the fact that we can fucking die from just being around the sun too much, or if it gets cold, or choke on those fruits that you were talking about because we eat out of the same fucking hole we breathe out of. Also of note, we recorded this on November 14th, which happens to be the 125th birthday of Nobel Prize winner Sir Frederick Banting for his work on treating diabetes with insulin because God can't even make our fucking pancreas reliable. Basically, if humans were built by a god, that fucker shouldn't even get a participation award for his efforts on the bags of meat that dominate this planet. Except for, Daisy Ridley. Call me. You can stick your finger in my butthole. I'm not even gonna stop you. It's fine.
Is nothing but a tiny dot in an unspeakably immense universe created by Almighty God.
I would draw a circle to point out the places where humans wouldn't die within a minute, but I can't draw that small.
We're on a great big piece of dirt flying through space at 63,000 miles an hour, circling the sun once a year. Seasons come round, winter, spring, summer, autumn, every year. Everything's clockwork. We can predict the sunrise 100 years from now to the very second because there's such order in nature.
That's just how gravity and orbits work, Ray. It's a year because that's the same. It's how it does it. You're breaking my brain with how dumb that is. I can't even answer you. It's just you think we started the year first? You think we had year and then we're like, oh, that happened to work out? God, I fucking hate you.
You know how many people die every year?
Millions and millions.
54 million people every year. People just like you and me with a will to live, saying in their heart, oh, I don't want to die, I love life. It's so precious. And acknowledging that God exists is the first step in the area. And to acknowledge that God exists, you just got to have a humble heart.
Wait, what the fuck does people dying have to do with what you said after that? Oh god. Are we on the part where Ray stops making arguments because he thinks he nailed it already? Oh, fuck.
You know, the Bible's full of scientific facts that weren't discovered till thousands of years later.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it says the earth hangs upon nothing in the book of Isaiah.
People can see, Ray. They just have to look. They just go like this. They go, ooh, yeah, nothing up there.
It says in Leviticus, the life of the flesh is in the blood. We didn't know that. You give your doctor a vial of blood and he can tell you how your flesh is doing, your whole body, tell you what's going on in it, because it's life of the flesh is in the blood.
Okay, good point. Or maybe people noticed, hey, when all the blood comes out of someone, they don't do so well. So
I don't even want to get any older. I hope I get enough guts to get myself out of this stinking planet.
You gonna kill yourself?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Oh, Ray. Stop picking on this senile old man. This is the guy in part 1 that used the 737 making itself argument against himself. So I'm pretty confident this guy's either crazy or a plant. Whatevs.
You're gonna die. It could be tonight, could be tomorrow. Every year, 54 million people die. What have you got to lose but your pride?
Jesus fucking Christ, how on earth did you find the most depressed dude ever? I know some Hillary supporters with more will to live than this guy.
If a man raped your mother and cut her throat, he should be punished.
You should be.
So if you feel like that, where do you get it from?
Seriously, Ray, do I need to explain to you why rape is bad? Here we go. Okay, see, Ray, we non-sociopaths have this thing called empathy, which basically means the ability to recognize and understand how other people are feeling. There are these things called mirror neurons. You should probably Google it. Interesting stuff. As a social species, empathy is very important, and just like arms and legs and eyes and lungs, the ability to speak and reason, empathy evolved over time because it's a beneficial trait. Now, you can go on all day long about how you think that's reductive and you don't think empathy is worth anything if it's just another biological function, but the universe doesn't give a fuck, Ray. Maybe you should develop some empathy for yourself and stop scamming money from your gullible audience.
Think of a man like Hitler, what he did. He slaughtered 11 million people, 6 million of them Jews. Men, women, and children. They were subjected to horrors beyond words. Hell is God's prison, a place where people receive justice without parole.
Okay, so for the record, I would go to the same prison in the same cell block and be given the same sentence as Hitler for not believing in this shit. Let that sink in for a while. While you do, I'm going to fantasize about Daisy Ridley somewhere. I feel better now.
Horrors beyond words. Young girls, teenage girls who were hung by the neck just because they didn't agree with the Nazi politics. They were called partisans. They hung them with thin rope to make it more agonizing. And as they were in the death struggle, there's pictures of Nazis laughing at them as they hung by the neck.
Wow, that sounds a lot like what you believe would happen to them in the hell you believe they're going to just because they don't believe in what Christians say. Your lack of self-awareness is really softening the daisy boner, Ray. And damn you for that.
And I thought to myself, if God is good, how can there not be a hell? There must be punishment for wickedness. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense.
Okay, you just explained why you wish there was a hell, not evidence there is one. Classic argument from Consequences. I don't like the idea of there not being a hell, ipso facto, hell must exist. Here's an example of this kind of reasoning. If Ray Comfort is allowed to make movies, people will give him money he doesn't deserve. Therefore, Ray Comfort doesn't make movies, yet here we are. Also, can I just point out, I don't think even Hitler himself would deserve hell as described by Ray. Hitler is one of the worst human beings in the past couple centuries, but an eternity of torture with no hope of release is literally worse than what Hitler did to the people he killed. It's so funny Ray jumps to Hitler to defend hell too. I don't know how to tell you this, Ray, But Hitler and the Nazis would not make up a majority of Hell's population. It would consist of atheists, Jews, Muslims, all people of Eastern faiths, everyone born before Christianity was a thing, and depending on how stingy God is, all the incorrect denominations of Christianity. All of the above in eternal agony for not believing in the correct thing regardless of their actual actions on Earth. So yeah, if there's a hell, Hitler's there, but his roommate is Anne Frank.
Do you think you're a good person?
Yes.
Do you think you're a good person? If there's a heaven, are you going to make it there?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Here it comes. We really should have done some butthole beer bongs for this. At least the alcohol poisoning would have made it enjoyable. Instead, it's just this without butthole beer bongs, and well, that's just watching it like everybody else.
Ray dives right into his spiel about how everyone is a sinner because we've all lied or cheated or stole or whatever. We talked about this in our other reviews of his movies, so I have nothing to say here other than, Ray, please get new material. This bit is getting really old, and it wasn't compelling the first time you used it.
Jesus said, if you look at a woman with lust, you commit adultery with her in your heart. Do you know that?
No.
Oh, God, Daisy, I owe you an apology, because we did a lot of stuff in my head.
Who made me that way?
Can't blame God for your own moral.
If he made me with a sinful nature, then how is he going to blame me? It's like you make a car and it doesn't run and then you get mad at the car.
I don't remember if you failed me in the last video, but at this point, I'm just operating on the assumption that you all have. But consider yourself redeemed, slightly older than usual film student. You crushed that question.
Your eyes have got 137 million light-sensitive cells. Human beings can't make an eye from nothing.
We already talked about this, Ray.
This is a great example of something I wanted to illustrate about Ray. Now, I could point out that we are currently developing artificial eyes to help the blind see. I believe within my lifetime, artificial eyes will probably be about as good, if not better, than the real thing. If I pointed this out to Ray, he would say, aha, but the materials used to make the eyes, the circuits in the metal, were already made by God, so see, humans can't make an eye from nothing. Beautiful Kiwi accent on my part, by the way.
Was that your Kiwi?
Yeah.
That was a disaster.
Ray always words his arguments in such a way he can move the goalposts when he needs to. He always has a backdoor to an argument that ends with God created everything and nothing created him, end of story. This makes him a brilliant speaker. He gets his script out and hits all of his talking points. Unfortunately, his talking points are shit, so yeah, a bit of a wash.
All these things are set in motion by God, shaped by your DNA, your height, your color of your hair, color of your eyes, your personality, were all written in the instruction book of life the moment you were conceived.
Okay, so by that logic, God has a weird sense of humor about Down's babies and like kid cancer, or is he just fucking up? You kind of can't have it all in that. You kind of got to pick Down's kids, or he fucked up.
The Bible says Jesus Christ has abolished death. Now, if that isn't true, we shouldn't look into it, but if there's one chance in a million that it is, your good sense should just open your heart and say, I'll check it out. Does that make sense?
I hear what you're saying.
Ray, you just said that we should investigate the validity of everything that has even a chance of happening, as if all things that have a chance of happening play on the same level as each other. So if I put the odds at you shitting an actual brick of gold at roughly the same odds of your God existing, you'd start trying to get diarrhea just on the off chance your beef chalupa with extra nacho cheese turned your butthole into tiny Fort Knox? If I didn't know my line before, I do now. And it starts at tiny butthole Fort Knox.
Well, why? I'm a total stranger to you. Why do you care about me?
Because I love you. I'm a Christian. I'm not filled with hate like some religions.
Ray throwing shade on the rest of religions aside, this guy is the only person that Jack Chick's comics have ever been accurate about. Like, if Jack were alive today, the raw footage of this would have made the old man come so many times his balls hurt.
Ray ends, as per usual, gives his speech about getting saved. He also asks if the panel are still atheists, and surprisingly, many say no. But just listen to how they put it.
Are you now no longer an atheist?
I suppose when you present to me the technical definition, I would say no, I'm open.
Okay, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened in this, okay? Ray, at some point in this conversation that he edited out, defined atheism as absolute certainty in the non-existence of God, or a 7 on the Dawkins scale. Now, there are not many atheists who necessarily fall into this category. In fact, even as someone who does this for a living, I would consider myself a 6. So, Ray, being who he is, set the parameters of the conversation that an atheist is, by definition, a hard 7, and anything else is just at best agnostic. That way, once he got to this point, he could get footage of them saying they are not atheists. Either that, or they wanted this conversation to be over and assumed agreeing with him would get him to go away. If Ray would like to prove me wrong, he can feel free to release the unedited versions of these conversations. He won't, though, because his entire business is rhetorical tricks, and magicians never reveal how the trick is done. Finally, at the end, the real star of the show appears, a guy telling creationists they can go to the Living Waters website and buy a 4-DVD set that will teach you how to convert people just like Ray. Gee, I wonder if this movie wasn't really actually for atheists, but an hour-long ad to shill shitty DVDs to creationists. This is the evangelical version of those shitty how to pick up women videos. The worst part is they don't even realize Ray is scamming them. He uses editing tricks and his sleazy used car salesman personality to cobble together an infomercial for poor evangelicals who believe for the low price of just $14.99, on sale from 1999, I will have you know, they can help save poor sinners and bring them to Christ. I don't blame those people. They're coming from a good place and trying to do what they think is right, but Ray, you are taking advantage of these people, and you're smart enough to know it. Now, I don't know if you're really a creationist or just decided creationists were dumb enough to take advantage of, but either way, it doesn't change what you are. And that's a con man.
So before we end, I'd like to take a moment to hand out awards to some people Ray spoke to in this video. So start the music. Sure, that'll do. The award for most likely to think the bottle flip video is still funny in 2017 goes to guy who looks like everyone on Vine. The award for most in need of a haircut goes to Pre-Mystery Machine Shaggy. Strangest lip hue goes to Off-Brand Markiplier. Obvious Aspiring Cat Lady goes to Obvious Aspiring Cat Lady. Person most likely to give Hugo the jungle fever. Cocoa Butter Skinned Lesbian. Most hopeful for the future of vape technology? Sack Hat 30-year-old. Thanks for playing, guys.
Hey, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider purchasing our 4-part DVD series, The Atheist Delusion. You too can be snarky and debunk creationist claims on YouTube for the low price of $13.99. Buy it while supplies last, neckbeard not included.
If you buy now, you get this hat my dog chewed on. Used to be a puffball here. It's gone now. He pooped it.
Alright, so finally, oh my god, we finished it, guys. We did it. Oh, man.
We did it! I feel like, now, I wouldn't know how this feels personally, but I feel like how when I see people finish marathons, I feel like that's how I would feel if I could run a distance.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you ran a marathon, you'd be dead by,
Well, no, I would wheelchair it. I would wheelchair it like those cowardly veterans who just can't get off their ass and run it them damn selves.
Like that guy that saw St. Elmo's Fire. That dude. That guy.
I don't know that reference. Bail out.
Anyway, Ray, if you're watching this, thanks for the entertainment. But yeah, your arguments are still bad.
Nah.
It is still the watchmaker argument. I don't believe you believe what you're saying. I think you're doing it for money purely. It's an hour-long commercial to evangelicals, and the fact that you're pretending it's otherwise is kind of gross. So
yeah, it's like. Usually the ethics of these things don't bother me so much, but because we kind of have a tangential relationship with you, I feel dirtier than usual because, you ate those pears, Hugo.
Yeah,
those are like the blood diamond equivalent of creationist pears.
The pear, don't blame the pears. They're pears.
One of them was wrapped in gold. Those were pretentious pears. Those were pretentious hipster pears.
It's a nice gift basket, though. So, All right. Anyway, Ray, we hope to see you again next year with whatever shitty way you repackage your same arguments, and I don't know. It's this one was exhausting. I'm not gonna lie to you. This one took a lot out of me. I cannot. Anyway, if you want, you can always follow us over at The Quran Reloaded, where we do our Muslim-related videos. You can follow us over at Unpopular Culture, where we do movie reviews and sort of a weekly podcast-style show where we talk about movie, television, video game news for the week. You can always follow us on Twitter at Bible Reloaded.
You can follow Hugo at Hugo Reloaded. You can subscribe to this channel because you're here already. Why not? It's like the impulse buy of gum in the checkout line. You might as well, right? It costs you nothing except your dignity, which you don't have much of anyway. So it's fine. You're on the internet. We both know you're not wearing pants.
You can always donate to our Patreon campaign. We do a once-a-month patron-only hangout, which I believe will be this Saturday, I want to say.
Why don't you just say that with confidence?
This Saturday. We also have different tiers for you. $5 will get you signed Chick Tract every month. $10 will get you buttons and stickers. And $15 will get you 3D pop figure dealio things. You can check them out over on Patreon. They're pretty cool. And of course, you get all the tiers below you,
or you can,
depending on.
Or you can buy our DVD set. That'll teach you how to also tell dick jokes.
Yeah. The step one is think of a dick joke.
Step 2 is have a mouth and working throat.
Yeah, step 3 is a secret, though. You got to buy the DVD for that. So.
Right. So, also, side note, I noticed that Living Waters, while we were watching this, has 160,000 subscribers. If we don't beat them soon, I will kill myself on camera. I won't be able to upload it, though, so it'll be in vain. But just know that it'll happen.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So yeah, everyone share this video so we can get more subscribers than Ray. It's bugging me.
I just want one more, and then we can burn the whole internet down, and I don't care. I just want to win, baby. If you're not first, you're last.
So thanks, everyone.
Coming for you, PewDiePie.
Oh, God. Until next time, I'm Hugo.
And I think I'm just a little upset I didn't get a gift basket. I think that's really what it is, the root of it. If I look back at myself. Like looking in the mirror, I think it was the pears.
Okay. Well, next time he falsely DMCA's us, you can get the gift basket.
Long after
he'll bring it to the court with him.
Yeah.
He won't mail it. He'll just bring it to the court with him.
He'll have to.
Yeah. Anyway, Bible Reloaded.